I just want to take a couple of minutes to talk a little bit about my history, how I got started on the path I'm on today. This all started for me when I was 6.5 years old on a remote upstate New York farm. One day my mom took me into a doctor for some reason to get x-rays, and it turns out that 3 orthopedic surgeons later, everybody agreed that I was going to be paralyzed by the time I was 13 because I have multiple issues with my spine, with fused vertebra, displaced vertebra, misaligned stuff, compressed rib cage, and the list goes on. I asked my mom on the way home from that last visit if she thought these people knew what they were talking about. She told me it was going to be up to me to prove them wrong, which I took as being magic words because she just gave me the power to prove them wrong. So that night and every night after that, for the rest of the time we lived on that farm, after the family went to sleep, I snuck out the window and went out into the woods, into a clearing, and implored the sky for help. And I very quickly, when I started doing this, felt compelled to move in certain ways. And being a child, I never questioned that this was going to work. I went out there for that reason. I felt like doing something I'd never done before, so I assumed this was going to work. So every night I would go out into that clearing and I would do these secret moving meditations. I never talked about it, I never told anyone about it, but we never heard from those doctors again, and I'm clearly not paralyzed. 3 years later, we got off the farm. As soon as we moved into suburbia, the kids in the neighborhood I moved into just took an instant dislike to me, and based on that, I literally had to fight my way to and from school, all the way through school. So this is about 7 or 8 years that on a daily basis, I had to fight my way to and from school. No matter how hard I tried to sneak around and avoid it. I was actually pretty good at it because it turns out that all those moving meditations that I did easily transitioned into redirecting incoming energy. So that's very cool. I still didn't know how I was doing it. I didn't know how to duplicate those efforts. So that's 10 years old. I started taking martial arts classes and did that all the way through school. By the time I got out of high school, I joined the Navy. Old habits die hard sometimes. I kept fighting for 2 or 3 years until I learned something over there in Japan that managed to accidentally break some guy's arm in a bar fight. That just devastated me, and I knew I had to stop fighting. So I stopped fighting, but I also stopped training in martial arts, and I just went back to my secret moving meditations, which I still did not know what they were. A few years later, I got married, and at one point my wife and I decided to join a martial arts school. And that turned out to be a Chinese martial arts school. And as soon as I walked in the door, I understood this is what I've been doing. It was qigong exercises that were healing my spine. And it turned out to be 2 things that I learned back there on the farm, turned out to be very legitimate qigong exercises, traditional and specifically designed for spinal strength and flexibility, just what I needed. So I was amazed. I quickly transitioned, got my instructor rating, started teaching, and I've taught people how to get off an asthma inhaler. I've taught people how to expel tar from their lungs when they have heavy metal poisoning. I've helped 2 people get pregnant. I've helped someone arrest the progression of her cancer. I mean, this list goes on. Qigong is amazing, but I taught until I joined the school I'm in today, where I'm a year away from getting my doctorate in Chinese medicine and acupuncture. I just love this field and this art. And I love helping people. If you liked anything I said, let me know. Ask me questions. I love to talk about it, and I'll see you later.